Hey there and welcome back. My name is Dalton Daughtry. Excited to have you on board today to talk about the power of habits and routines. So if you were to guess what percentage of the actions you take in a day-to-day situation are new actions, probably less than half. And so those old actions, things you've done before, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you walk the dog, you drive your car, you open your garage, you get some food out of the fridge. Most of those are actually habits. And so what this means is you don't have to really think about what you're going to do. You just do. And so this is a biological advantage for us as humans to where we don't have to necessarily use as much brain power on every single decision we make throughout the day. A lot of this stuff's routine. When you went to your closet this morning, I'm sure you picked out an outfit, but you've probably worn an outfit like that before, right? You've probably paired that shirt with those shoes or with that pair of pants similarly in the past. And so this is a benefit for us first and foremost. So I want you to know that while I may push back on some of the habits that people find themselves in, that habits are ultimately a good thing for us, right? And if we can develop the right habits and the right routines, ultimately that's going to lead to us living a more fulfilling life. And so it's been said that we don't rise to the power of our ambition, but we actually fall to the level of our habits and our routines. So what does this mean? Well, if my ambition is so big, but my habits are not aligned with what I want to accomplish, then I'm going to fall way short. And if I fall short, it's not because my ambition wasn't there. Sure, we were ambitious. It's because our habits were poor habits. And our habits compound in both a positive direction or a negative direction. Now, you know this if you've ever put on weight. It's not because you just went out one night and ate way too much for dinner. It's because you developed a habit of overeating or of eating too much sweets or snacking in the middle of the night or whatever it might be. And so the same is true in reverse. So if you ever have lost weight, it's because you've probably intentionally forced yourself into some new habits, despite the fact that you're used to eating that bowl of ice cream at 10 p.m. You probably forced yourself not to. So habits are super powerful. They're extremely important. It's a good thing that we have habits, but if we don't intentionally direct our habits and cultivate our habits and our routines and establish routines that serve us, then we're going to put ourselves in a position to where over the long run, we're not going to accomplish what we want to accomplish. We're not going to become who we know we can become. We're not going to fulfill our purpose, our mission, our cause. And ultimately, we will be in a position of lack rather than a position of abundance because we didn't set up the right routines and habits. So today I want to help you learn to establish some healthy routines and habits. And the first way I want to maybe frame this up for you is when I was getting started on what I consider my success journey. So I'm 23 years old. I'm now engaged. I commit my life to the Lord. I find a mentor. I start reading books. I start going to conferences. I start self-educating. I start self-developing. I start learning about how to make money and how to develop skills. And so I start down on this success journey. And I learned early on the power of habits. So a couple good books I'd recommend. Number one, Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit. Wonderful book. He talks about keystone habits. That's my takeaway from that. Craig Groeschel talks about this quite a bit too. These are habits that you've probably already established that if you can create this routine or this habit in your life, you can stack other habits and routines on it, and it becomes a keystone or a pillar habit for you. For Craig Groeschel, as an example, his is flossing his teeth. If he flosses his teeth, it encourages him to have better hygiene altogether. And if he has better hygiene, he's more motivated to take care of his health, and his health encourages him to work out, and so on and so forth. So for me, a keystone habit was waking up early. I used to sleep all day. And when I started down this path, this success journey, I knew that winners woke up early. I started to read it in scriptures from 2,000 years ago. Every wealthy influencer entrepreneur I studied, they woke up early. I realized successful people don't sleep in. They're up, they're at it, they're getting after it. So I started to learn to wake up early. And sure enough, I had this habit I'd cultivated for 23 years of my life to sleep. and not to have an alarm or to hit snooze, etc. So working on establishing that habit for me took some time, but eventually I figured it out. And so here's how I hacked my mind to do it. And this is what I'd encourage you to do with your habits. So if the alarm was next to me in bed, I learned this through trial and error, by the way, and the alarm went off, I'd hit snooze. Well, if I turned off snooze, then I just turn off my alarm. And so I moved the alarm to the other side of at the time, the apartment. So my alarm would go off. It's 5 a.m. I'd have to get up and I'd have to go across the apartment to turn it off. Well, I started realizing I'll even turn it off and go back to bed. So I wanted to establish a habit where I got out the door. If I'm out the door, I'm not going back to bed. I tried reading after my alarm went off. I tried drinking some coffee, all these things. And ultimately I would do the thing and then just be tempted to crawl right back in bed. So I started laying out running clothes between me and my alarm in the hall. So I had to walk over these running clothes to turn my alarm off. Well, naturally, instead of walking over my clothes, I would just pick them up as I'm getting out of bed to turn my alarm off. And because I've got my running clothes in hand as I'm turning off my alarm, I would just go ahead and put them on. And I've got my clothes on, and once I started to lace up my shoes, I'm committed at this point, and all I have to do is walk out the door. So I established this habit early on, and it helped me tremendously because if I got my run in, then I felt motivated to eat healthy. And if I ate healthy, I took my vitamins. And if I took my vitamins, then I probably did my reading, or I probably listened to that podcast, or I probably, reached out to somebody I was supposed to reach out to. So all this to say, those keystone habits are pivotal. Another book that's really important, I think, for developing habits is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's probably the world-renowned transcript on this subject at this point. Got to be one of the best-selling books on habits of all time. And rightfully so, by the way. James poured his heart and soul into this project. And what I love about that book is it talks about a concept similar to Duhigg, but James calls it habit stacking. And so it's exactly what I talked about. You take a habit you already have and you stack other habits onto it. My habit of the alarm goes off at 5 because I want to be a morning person, because wealthy people are morning people. I stack some other habits on top of it. So he talks about habit stacking. He talks about routines, and it's very important for sure. But I want to tie it all together. I want to maybe paint a picture for you so you know how to frame it up effectively in your life to achieve your goals and do what it is that you feel called to do. So I want to start with this. If you're going to develop good habits, you have to know your goal. You have to know why you're doing it. If I never wanted to become wealthy, I never would have wanted to get up out of bed early, right? If I never wanted to be fit, I never would have signed up for the race. You get what I'm saying? So the point here is you have to know your goals. You have to be very clear on what you want to accomplish. You have to have articulated and written down where you want to go. And so there's power in writing for sure. There's power in typing, but there's more power in creating this monument in your life. Hey, this is what I want to accomplish. And the way you do that is you put it into paper. You manifest it into existence, right? Rather than just being a thought, you speak it as a word. You speak it as an affirmation, or you put it on paper. You put it down on your notes app on your phone. You post it on your social media. Now it's out there in the world. It is more than just an idea, more than just an ambition now. It's a goal, right? And so we have a goal, a dream with a deadline, right, is a goal. And so now we can back into that goal with what are the actions necessary to achieve the goal? And those actions essentially are going to be habits. You want to learn to save money. You want to put a down payment on your house. You want to become financially independent. You want to lose 10 pounds. You want to have a better relationship with your kids. Whatever it is, once you've established the goal, now you can establish the habits. And the key now is to take these two principles from Duhigg and James Clear and to start to find keystone habits in your life and start stacking habits on top of those. And once you've done that in whatever areas in life you want to accomplish, you've now set yourself on a trajectory where these habits are going to compound to your benefit over time. And so a simple exercise, again, is just write out your top goals for different areas of your life, for business, for finance, for relationships, for your spirituality, for your family, etc. And then evaluate your habits. Look at your day-to-day. It's a good example. What did you do today? Is it aligning with these goals, or is it not? If it's not, how do we adjust things? And so you don't have to change everything overnight. All you have to do, though, is set into motion the right habits and once those have been established, and I know the days, people say 21, some people say 48, 65, whatever. It don't matter how long it takes to establish habit. It might take you a year. But the question is your goal worth it? It might take you 2 weeks. I think waking up early is an easy one, because once you've woke up early 3 or 4 days in a row, you're not staying up late because you are tired. And so that was a pretty easy one, I think, over the long run. But either way, I'd encourage you, write down your goals, back into those goals with the actions needed to accomplish them, the habits needed to accomplish them, evaluate your current situation, and make some adjustments so that your actions today align with your future state, and you're going to live a much better life because of it. So with that, thanks for tuning in. This is Success University, episode 2 of 66, and I'm glad to have you on board. Stay tuned for the next lesson coming right at you.